Chinese? Like, what are their Chinese
Well,
biggest
Deacon, don't you see the whole point of the title and essentially like the reverse on
yeah,
China guy or the double entendre and the value of letting him make maybe absurd, ignorant comments for his own, reflection?
yeah, John, I'm surprised you haven't addressed like the phallic envy amongst the Chinese towards the blacks. Like we could delve into that. Yeah, but I think it's pointed.
See, that's the thing, DK.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a bigger dick than China guy. Does anyone doubt that?
Right. I've told enough of the dumb bullshit, right? Okay, it's my turn now. So yeah, sure. On average, that's what I'm saying. On average, nobody has a problem, statistically stating that Chinese people, on average, have small penises, right? But somehow, but on average, people have low IQ. It's also statistically true. So one is okay to say, and one is not. So I mean,
I would rather have a big penis than a small dick.
Shut the fuck up! I'm still talking. Shut the fuck up! Thank you. So I'm just asking for some consistency here. Right? It's not too much to ask. And by the way, Ryan, to your credit, the fact that you guys, your ancestors, you are descendant of people of their leftover slaves that. I mean, Jamaica, and Tobago, Trinidad was slave central. So all the slaves were sent there, and then they were picked, and then sent over to the American continent as slaves. And they were purchased. Your ancestors were there, I suppose. They didn't get picked, right? So, but that was actually a blessing in disguise because you didn't actually go through chattel slavery. I hope not. Maybe you did. I don't know. I mean, which means that
Yeah, my ancestors did go through chattel slavery. What's the point?
And then there's problematic because with chattel slavery, right, the white slave masters picked who you guys, your ancestors, breed with, and they picked the strongest and the most obedient. IQ was not a criteria for that picking. And that's why, on average, and I say I don't discriminate against black people, especially black people outside of, Africa, America. African Americans, though, because of that history, yeah, you guys generally low IQ, right? Because you guys were bred for your brains, for your bronze and not your brains.
So what do you, wait, hold on, Brian. Yeah, but let me just say one thing. Let me just say one thing.
Just talk directly to me, Marvin.
Yeah, but China guy, where did you come with this? Where did you come to this conclusion?
Okay, Marvin. So let me just respond directly.
Why would I pick
China guy?
Many people that would lead a rebellion, against the slave master? Obviously, going to pick obedient and dumb ones. Not necessarily dumb, but strong and obedient ones, right? To procreate, just like if you want to accentuate certain features of a dog over time, you want.
No, I get those things. No. That's not my question again. That's not my question. I understand what you're saying. When did you come to the conclusion? When did you come to the conclusion and your decision to decide to make this your platform?
Dude, everybody knows about this, right? They just
once again, I'm not asking you if everybody knows about this. I'm just asking you, when did you come to the conclusion?
Marvin, why don't you try to attack his opinion as opposed to the timeline? I mean, I gotta say, like, you are talking to somebody who does not live in the United States of America. His perspective may be repugnant and gaslighting to some of your sensibilities, but don't you appreciate?
Maybe I agree with him.
No, I know you don't agree with him. My point is, don't you appreciate his opinion though? Don't you appreciate it?
Yes, and that's why I'm asking it. That's why I'm asking.
Your when question is irrelevant because it's a now question, bro. Don't you see that you're being facetious and you're annoying and you're being annoying?
Maybe the answer's now.
Brian, hold that thought. Before you say that, I want to say I agree with Marvin, John. I think we should go to the origination of this thought process with that. However, I don't think he's going to be able to answer that question that Marvin's asking. So it is kind of rhetorical. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it.
See, why don't you actually let China guy answer your question? I mean, because now you're one-upping and insulting China guy, and I got to tell you, if China guy is high IQ, but he holds bigoted sentiment, or it's a wrong in terms of data. If we were to look at the actual IQ numbers, and he's not wrong.
So I don't think we need to argue about whether he's bigoted or not. I mean, that is actually unimportant. I mean, how I evaluate people in terms of intelligence is actually how they use that intelligence to interact with people and do things. So I mean, right now in terms of this conversation, I mean, I've been nothing but nice to China guy, and yet he insistently resorts to racist attacks and insults and comments on my ancestry. And I mean, my only comment to that, whether I mean, I don't know if the shaming will actually work, but this is actually the result of our interaction, China guy. Whatever it is, whether it's slavery or shadow or lack of IQ or anything that has actually resulted in the result, which is who I am and what I understand and my awareness and my intelligence that I am now. I would rather that than to be you.
Ryan,
And that's
shaming
the
doesn't work. Ryan, you would say no, that shaming doesn't work.
The funny thing is, like, you think, this is like some, I mean, to you guys, it's like, oh, this is like a new revelation. And like, oh man, I didn't think of it like that. When did you come up with this stuff? Shit, the fact is, everybody knows, right? It's just like you guys just have IQ too low to be able to figure it out yourself. Everybody knows.
Everybody knows what? We're not interacting as a group right here. We're interacting as individuals. I don't. China guy is not some representation.
Everybody knows that your ancestors were bred for their brawn and not their brains. Duh.
We're talking about you. We're not talking about black people. We're not talking about my ancestors. We're talking about two individuals interacting right now. I mean, this group centralization thing that you're trying to do to say, oh, Chinese people are better than black people and Americans versus China. That is a you thing. What is it with your social upbringing? What is it about your parentage that leads you to this? I mean, you could do better. I mean, use that intelligence for something positive. Why? I mean, what's the point?
Well, don't you think at this point we're going full circle, full circle? I mean, I don't know. Can we maybe change topics? Can I do a room reset and can we discuss does shaming work?
Sure. By the way, I do think that I'm doing the world a favor because for so long, I've been expected to just, also pay for white guilt, right? What you guys do, it's because, and what you guys are allowed to get away with, was because of white guilt. And not in any way, my people, my ancestors, not in any way to your ancestors' suffering, right? And why should I pay for white guilt if that's the case? So I'm doing the world a favor.
What you can do by doing the world a favor is closing your mouth. I think that's what the world needs.
I think that's for you to do.
Ooh. See, this does get to the heart of the issue, Ryan. In my opinion, IQ does equal EQ. So, in terms of this room and even this conversation, I think we would all admit that it's a really stupid, pointless, trivial conversation. But yet, there is still emotional exchanges and emotional feelings based on what you're hearing. So, I propose that silence is actually the great nullifier of basically the automated emotional response syndrome that's tied into our communication. So, in terms of communication theory, our emotions are directly tied to our communication exchanges. So, if you can try to control that communication circuit, you can essentially control the emotional paradigm of that connectivity.
Yeah, I mean, the only emotion here is that, I mean, I tend to see the good in people. So, I mean, despite all of this, I mean, I usually enjoyed interacting with him, but I don't know what's with him today. I mean, where he wants to go on this racist diatribe. So, whatever is creating problems in your life that led you to this China guy, I hope it gets resolved.
Yeah, because it's all other people's problem, right? You're going to try to cycle.
No, it's definitely you. It's definitely you.
I think you're being triggered again. When you constantly interrupt me. I let you speak. When you're done, I open my mic and because you get triggered. Anyway, Ari, yeah, let's continue some of the topic. I'm done with this so far about what is this? US defense battery purchase. Yeah, let's have a conversation, Ari.
Well, since no one's talking, I just to kind of put it in context, your desire to talk about this topic and then your desire to shut the topic down also speaks. And I'm just curious as to when you started thinking this way.
No.
And what was the origin of that? That's all. That's what I'm curious about.
I'm interested in discussing the topic, right? But then again, I'm interested in discussing in any topic with high IQ people. It's just quite fruitless and pointless if I just talk to defensive, low IQ people that are naturally biased because of who they are. What's the point of that?
Yeah, no, I agree. And so if you don't want to answer the question, that's fine. You can just say, look, I'm not interested in answering that question.
It's not that. It's that I don't think he knows an origin, despite him saying that everybody knows. The China guy. Have you heard the quote? It's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. And you want to shame people who are removing all doubt. And I think we've established that it doesn't work. It is a pointless conversation, like John said. And so, if you can mention origin and answer Marvin's question, I would be heavily interested. But I really doubt we could.
Anybody? Why not? Why? I see that's a low IQ that I'm talking about, right? I mean, why would I be unable to tell you when I came to this conclusion? Because it was me. I mean, unless I have a bad memory, but I'm for sure, maybe I thought about it when I was like 12, right? And then
Okay, so let's go with that. Let's go with that then. Let's go with 12.
Marvin.
Yeah.
First, like John said earlier, it's irrelevant what we're talking about. That's why no IQ people bring up irrelevant point. What the point of like?
No. Whether it's relevant to you or not, I understand that you think that.
I'm not done.
Okay, go ahead.
It's relevant when the premise is sound, right? I mean, I'm telling you history, which is historical fact, and that's indeed what happened. And you want to deny it and say, okay, maybe that's maybe it has.
I'm not denying anything. I'm only asking you. What is this? When did you start thinking this way?
Like John has already said, and I agree, it's irrelevant. So I said, why should I even dignify with an answer? It's quite irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Okay, then that's all you have to say. You should say, okay, look, I'm not going to answer your question. Okay, great.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say is that
All I'm saying is in this just like what's going on. Sorry about this, John. What's going on in Palestine? The only people who are standing with the Israelis are the Jews and the Zionist Christians who wants to usher in Armageddon and see the Jews burn, so don't have the best intention for the Jewish people. But if the only people who are siding with you at this point are people that are heavily melanated, and then you have a problem, right? I mean, just bringing up cliches like empty barrels make most noise, and it's supposed to be enlightening. Are you fucking kidding me? I think you guys are so stupid that you're not even conscious of the level of stupidity.
Okay, China guy, listen, calm down. We're just asking you a question. And if you don't want to answer the question, that's cool, bro. Don't answer it. Just say that. Just say, look, I'm not going to answer that question.
What question? Oh my God, like I said, it has no relevance to the topic.
Okay, look, you're justifying why you're not answering the question. I'm just asking you to say.
What is the question? When did I come up with this revelation? What has it to do with anything?
It doesn't matter. It's a question.
I'm talking. Anyone who understands, right, what happened during black slavery, right, knows this. So anyone that actually went to study it and pay attention.
China guy, again, you're going into this diatribe and explaining.
Anyone who actually studied.
But nobody here is asking you that question. Nobody's asking you that question.
The only people that couldn't figure this out is either they are too, too laden with white guilt, or they have high IQ. You probably know that history as well, but he didn't figure it out. He did not come to this revelation. Why? Because you guys are low IQ. And again, it confirms my hypothesis.
Agreed. Now, do you want to answer the question or not? That's the only fight.
Oh my God,
we don't have to go back and forth.
China guy, can I interrupt here? Can I interrupt here, China guy? I have a more important question for you. Do you think that there is a black American, a black African American that has a higher IQ than you?
Yeah, probably, definitely. I'm going to say definitely, for sure. They do exist. But then again, there are probably a lot more, Chinese people with higher IQ than that black American that has a higher IQ than me. See, that's how averages work.
All right, I just wanted to confirm that you are not delusional, because statistically you would have to agree that in the size of the African American population, at the high end of the spectrum, they're going to be far more intelligent than you. But I think we would also have to agree that based on the numbers in China, that the high end of the intelligence spectrum, there's a hell of a lot more smart Chinese than there are a hell of a lot more smart African Americans. But I would say that in terms of like America overall, America probably has a hell of a lot more intelligence in terms of
Wait,
numbers than in China.
How did you arrive at that conclusion? How did you arrive at that
It's
conclusion?
totally speculative. And to answer Marvin's question about when I came up with this hypothesis, I came up with it right now.
It's speculative, but we can still parse it out. How many actual people are there in China?
If you want to play the Google game as opposed to the intuition, hypothesis game, I would just say if you want to ask stupid questions like that, go to Google and answer your stupid questions. I'm a smart person. I don't need to answer.
I mean, you just made it.
I don't need to answer basic stupid Google questions about what's the population of China, bro. Don't waste our time with questions like that. Time is limited.
Well, I mean, okay. So you understand why it's not stupid since you're slow. The point is, I mean, if you really want to test that hypothesis that you just made, you would have to average out the average intelligence of the people in China by the numbers and do that against the black population as well. And I will state here, but without doing any calculations, I'm actually driving right now, that I think that the average black American has a higher IQ than the average Chinese. There might be more Chinese people, and they definitely because of numbers, who are higher IQ.
That's
But
why
I
I
would
can't
say
talk
the
about
average.
this with low IQ people. Are you serious? Just Google average IQ based on countries, world map, and just have a good look at it. All right?
Yeah, Ryan, I gotta say, Ryan, if I inverse generally everything I hear on this app, and what you just said probably proved to me that what you said was totally wrong, and the opposite is the truth. So thank you very little. We'll call you. Don't call us, Ryan.
How did you arrive at that conclusion? I mean, you guys keep saying things and you're not showing the working.
Are you fucking kidding me?
You're also forgetting that China has the biggest population in the world, so that's something to consider.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Oh my God! Is it you low IQ people that happens to be black? Don't
So
even
what
know
is
half
the
of
average
people.
IQ of the what is the average IQ?
Fucking guy. That's why I can't talk to this talk about this topic with like low IQ people.
Answer the question.
Ryan, we're gonna shame you because your question is stupid, brother. And I gotta tell you the truth of the earth, my nigga. That asking questions
I
is
know
part
you
of the
think it's
problem,
stupid. I know
brother.
you think it's stupid, but I need to prove it for myself because I don't value your discernment. So that I'm asking the question.
Okay, if you got Google type of questions, do you know what LMGTFY means, that acronym? Let me Google that for you. Thank you very little. We'll call you, don't call
The
us.
point is not to Google. I mean, if listen, I'm using my own. I use my own heuristics to arrive at the argument that I'm making. We can test.
Well, bravo, sir. I'm just going to continue to shame you to prove that it works. Thank you very little. We'll call you, don't call us.
You shaming me is not. I mean, in order to shame me, I would have to be of the opinion that I value your opinion, that I value your judgment, which I don't. So I mean.
Got it. Well, again, I don't value your opinion, so why are we even listening to you? Because you're wasting our time with irrelevant questions. Let me Google that for
I'm in
you.
the room and we're having a conversation about a subject that you apparently want to talk about. So, I mean,
The subject is, does shaming work, Ryan? Can you stick to the topic and stop asking fucking Google questions, bravo? Can we please get back to the topic? Does shaming work? I would like Mixed to answer this question. Mixed, can you tell us the truth of the earth, my nigga?
I tell by the crack in your voice that you feel that you're hurt. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I think you're right with that, but I mean,
Stop projecting, my nigga. Stop projecting, my
This is
nigga.
what happens when you confront racists. They crawl up in their shell. Like,
No, brother, I ain't crawling up in no pussy shell. I'm here to fucking shame your stupid ass because you low IQ. I'm doing what China Guy does now. Is that okay, China Guy? Can I take your Chinese-centric model of intelligence and displace these ignorant cocksuck motherfuckers wasting our time with the stupid fucking questions? Ryan, do you know how to listen, you dumbass motherfucker? Do you know how to shut your fucking mouth and listen for about 3 minutes without actually responding to everything you hear? That's called emotional intelligence, my nigga.
Let's hear what Vanessa has to say. I would like to hear that.
Oh my God.
So, oh my God, I think this room is more fruitful than I thought it would be. By the way, I think shaming works, but it has to come internally, right? More of your people need to learn, how to self-criticize. Because the fact that if the vast majority think that, oh, you guys are right, or we are the racist, bigoted ones, with and whatever we say, have no grounds because it undermines your identity, right? That wouldn't work. But what is really needed is for black people to criticize black people, and that has not happened, right? Because you guys are both prideful and stupid, unfortunately.
You haven't heard of Tommy Sotomayor then? He criticizes black people all the time. And he's black. So he should be.
If that's the case, there should be more of them.
Yeah, maybe so. I agree. I would really like to hear what the female has to say. I think she's been waiting for a long time to speak. Vanessa.
Well, don't gender me too soon, sweetheart. How dare you criticize my gender choices? Vanessa, I'm sorry. Oh wait, there's Vanessa. Are you a woman? Are you a woman?
Or maybe she's AFK.
Listen, when McZed comes to a room, he doesn't shame people. He engages in, debate of basically the law. So, I think McZed is a perfectly balanced EQ, IQ person in America. And, he could add valuable contribution to this conversation if he wants to draw from his powers on high.
Maybe not. I would like to ask China Guy if he is an atheist or theist. I know that's a common, duality here on Clubhouse. If China Guy would be.
I'm a disbeliever.
Okay. I kind of figured.
Are you a doubter? You're like a doubting Thomas or something? Is that the official position of China, is to doubt everything until the truth arrives, in due time?
So no God, China Guy.
Yeah, because nobody can square the circle for me. For those of you who believe in the omniscient God and somehow know everything that has happened, is happening, will happen, but somehow we still have free will. If you believe in that God is actually real, it's not a product of humans' wild imagination, then yeah, you can low IQ.
But what is the square root of 22, and why is the circle represented by the number 22, China Guy?
Yeah, how do you know it's not your own low IQ that can't discern the divinity in a correct and logical manner?
Because I actually have a high IQ and I'm confident, of the way that I make analyzes data, in a rational, reasonable, logical fashion. And I'm totally confident that it's like, oh, it's too complicated for me to understand. I'm not from that. I don't subscribe to that bullshit, right? If you don't understand, which means you haven't really thought it through.
China Guy, can I interrupt you and just ask you to tell us how smart you are by reciting Pythagoras' theorem, please?
I don't think China Guy has studied Greek philosophers.
Well,
I am my own philosopher.
I'm just saying that there's a connection between mathematics and philosophy and what we would call peace mind, or the Garden of Eden state, or joy or happiness. That, in terms of low black IQ, China Guy, if you're a compassionate person, you would have to admit that being low IQ is not a good state of mind to be in. So what you're really doing is you're a compassionate shamer. Isn't that the truth of the earth, my nigga?
It pains me to admit this, but I actually have a big heart. Yes, I am a compassionate shamer. And by the way, because Chinese people, we do have our own philosophers like Lao Tzu, like Mengzi, Confucius, and so forth. There's so many of them that I don't really study what the white man's a philosopher. Like, hang on, like how many black philosophers actually came from Africa? Have you guys studied them?
China Guy, here's a question for you. I don't know where you live, but what's going on? You can ask a question.
Okay, that's a long talent. That's a long talent.
I don't know where you live, but what country would you like to visit, or maybe even live in outside of the country that you're in right now, if any?
Well, come on, decide. To visit and to live in, they are two different things.
Okay, answer both of them. Both. Let's talk about both.
I would like to visit every country in the world if I got the opportunity that is safe, right? I probably wouldn't visit India because I don't want to get food poisoning, which half people go to India would get food poisoning. So other than that, to
What would
live
be the
in,
first country you would go to?
I would not live in any other country but the country that I was born in, which is Malaysia.
Okay, you're Malaysian. Okay, where would be the first country you would go to if you had a free ticket?
So being Chinese, with a very calculative, thinking mind, if you're talking about free ticket, so I would have to pick, the ticket that would be the most expensive, which I don't have to pay for myself. Actually, I studied in the US, so I've been there. And so literally that would be the furthest, literally halfway around the planet, unless you believe the world is flat, then there's something else. But anyway, East Coast US is exactly 12 hours time difference from where I'm at. So literally the furthest away I can travel from where I'm at.
Wouldn't London? Isn't London?
Because I hate the
Oh,
US
yeah.
because people are too generous and there are too many Negroes. I would pick Canada.
Ooh.
Okay, so
Ooh.
would you go to Toronto because it's on the East Coast? Kind of.
Yeah, why not?
China guy, I think you're going to become you probably already are very popular amongst the Groypers here on this platform. But I gotta say, even amongst the Groypers, do you think there's any intelligence there either? Aren't they technically at the lower autistic end spectrum of the white, the white people? Oh, he's not a Groyper? Would you consider yourself a Groyper? Marshall, please, let China guy answer for himself. You don't need to speak for him, do you?
No, just roll dislike it. You joke around too much of the time.
Marshall, please stop attacking me personally. I don't need to even discuss anything with you, do I?
Sometimes, but this couple of days, he's doing actually pretty well. John, first define to me what is a Groyper.
A Groyper. See, a Groyper is a very ambiguous term. I think maybe we should let Marshall tell us what a Groyper is, because I feel like an ambiguous person should probably answer about such an ambiguous term. Marshall, I give you the floor. Please, the floor is yours, Mr. Marshall.
What was it you wanted me to answer? I'm walking my dog right now.
What's a Groyper? I know what is a Groyper.
Somebody on the code, dissident right, oftentimes hold views about black people and Jews, which are, to say the politest, baited. They seem to like a guy named Nick Fuentes, who is, at least for my mind, a pathetic excuse for a human. And there may be some economic nationalists there who want to try what they call MAGA communism, which is just basically the government spending and then calling something else. But they're not a very big part of the actual party. There are, I think, probably a significant portion on the dissident right, but they're not seen as legitimate.
No, I wouldn't, John. I'm not a Groyper. I think by definition, I cannot be a Groyper unless I'm American. Like I said, I don't have any hate for Jews or blacks, right? The only reason why hate manifests, is that you actually have close contact with, certain group of people, maybe black, Hispanic, Jews, or whatever, right? Over time, and there's a lot of resentment because you feel they wronged you, historical reasons, they killed my Messiah, so on and so forth, which has nothing to do with me. I'm just, a third party. But I do feel that often I've got to bear the brunt of the high amount of obnoxiousness that comes from black Americans, right? And I think they behave like that because, they are used to, white people allowing them to do so because of white guilt. And like I said, I don't have white guilt. My ancestors did not wrong their ancestors. Why should I pay for white guilt? Why am I made to pay for white guilt just just like why the Palestinians are made to pay white guilt because they kicked out Jews from Europe. You see what I'm saying? So I'm not a griper. Short story.
No, I disagree with that. Prisons in America are filled with black people. If there was any white guilt going on, then that would be the case. Throughout history, there's been,
Yeah, but Deacon, if you can't pay the time, don't do the crime. What does a man's skin color got to do with breaking the law, my nigga?
well, all the lynchings well after, racism ended, or not racism, but slavery ended. And
You're talking about Emmett Till, and I would imagine.
yeah, Emmett Till, he's one example of many. That's just one famous example. There's been countless others throughout history, all the way up until more recently, in early mid '90s, to all the way to George Floyd, man.
The last lynching in my state was in 1996 in Casper, Texas.
Yeah.
It was it was brutal.
Yeah, I agree. So, where is the white guilt there? So I think this white guilt thing is something he's kind of embellishing and kind of overemphasizing that, it doesn't really exist like that in the United States. Have you ever been to the United States, China guy?
Actually, I have.
Yeah, he said he had.
Yeah, okay. Which state did you visit?
I went to UGA, so University of Georgia, which is I know you might think a lot of black people, but actually not in on the campus. The black population was around maybe 10-15% when I was there, not that much.
Yeah, I've traveled around the southern belt. I live in Texas, and I would say the most racist that I've visited had to be Louisiana. Maybe someone might differ, but man.
Where in Texas are you, Deacon?
I'm in San Antonio.
Oh, nice, dude. I'm in McAllen, so 4 hours south of you.
Throughout the southern states, man. I mean, out of all the ones I visited, Louisiana had to be, you could feel the racist vibe just by visiting a restaurant, But, I don't know if anyone's been to Louisiana.
There's still places in Texas where that's a reality. I know of one explicit example. County called Hunt, which is in Senate District 8, which is Angel Paxton's district, so it's northeast Dallas. It's Collin County, and then Hunt County, and then Rain County. In Quinlan, which is inside of Hunt County, there's an active faction of the Klan that recruits at local Walmarts, or the local Walmart for that area, and they'll hold their meetings and burn crosses out on the highway. So that doesn't say everything about 260 counties, but it does say that at least in that place it does still exist in that fashion.
Yeah, I agree. That's why, it even goes on here in San Antonio, but, there's certain degrees, and Georgia, I don't know, Georgia's a little bit up north. It may not be as prevalent, but yeah, visit, the southern states if you really want to see racism at play, at its highest degree in the United States. I think that's where a lot of it's going on.
I think you're attempting to psychoanalyze me by finding more about my background and how I, visit or stay. Rather, I was there for 3 years. Was that a manifest? The cause of? No, actually, what I do right now is actually just creating discourse, right? Which I like, which is fun. I think to an extent. Unless you're at the expense of that, which I get. But in all honesty, there are dumb people everywhere, and most people are dumb. Honestly, but I do feel that there is a certain amount of being not self-aware when it comes to African Americans that I come across on the internet, and I do think that it actually stems from a lot of politeness within Western societies, and they are allowed to get it. There is that's white privilege, but there is also the black card, just like there is an anti-Semitic card, right? So I think, over time, you guys are just used to functioning the way you do, and people just politely, on average, just, okay, and a smile. And actually that becomes the status quo.
But China guy, how can Marvin go ahead?
China guy, what do you think? What should be the reaction if it's? And I'm not saying we're being passive about it, but in your scenario, you explain that you believe the Westerners are being passive about it, and I'm assuming that that's a negative or not something that you would do. Well, what should we do about that type of scenario when dumb people are around?
If I can control it, I can't control the situation. I extricate myself from that situation. I leave, right? Let's say on Clubhouse, and I certainly do not have African American in my vicinity. I mean, my real life, or any white people or Jews for that matter. So that's it. But if I can help it, and then if I'm actually in the middle of a interest, what I feel is an interesting discussion, and it's being derailed, and often it's these low IQ people, regardless of their color, that loves derailing conversation, and brings out like stuff that are completely irrelevant. I remove them, right? Or I can do this and create some awareness. Perhaps it's like I said, I'm doing you guys a favor. I mean,
China guy, let me ask you a following question. If we were to make you Emperor of America, and you were an infinite immortal being, what would you do for the African American black population to help them get out of their apparently low IQ slump because of U.S. Slavery? Thank you, China guy.
I'll agree for the former slave owners breed with the low IQ black ghetto blacks, right? Payback.
So the slave owners who have the high IQ would have to breed with their former slaves in order to recreate a population of higher IQ people?
Average it out at least.
Got it. So you're being facetious, right? But do you really believe that genetics are the main responsible reason for intelligence or IQ?
I think genetics is a crucial component. Not the only, right? Nutrition, environment, harmonious society, low crime rates, high crime rates. But all that just does not exist in black communities, neighborhoods in America. You're making a bad situation worse as it stands right now.
Isn't it really related to poverty? Isn't it really related to economical truth versus?
Yeah, I want to say about that. It's a cycle, yeah, of course. That as well, right? But genetic also is a component, but which most people are too PC to acknowledge.
What about, are you familiar with George Carlin, our China guy? He said, the whole glue that binds America together is this bullshit nonsense that they propagate on purpose, that they want people just dumb enough to run the machines, but just smart enough to run the machines, but just dumb enough to accept the lower wages and the end of overpaying all this bullshit to keep the economy afloat. That's the whole thing that keeps it going, and it relies on people's naivete and their stupidity to not realize that about a system that threw them overboard 30 years ago. They're getting fucked by the red, white, and blue dick. Have you ever heard those stand-ups from George Carlin? Because I think you would have a better view on all of the hell's going on in the United States.
Oh yes, I am a fan of George Carlin, God rest his soul. But that's not a good excuse, right? Because other communities are not in the predicament of black communities, although they are in the same country.
Yeah, because one thing you haven't touched on is, education. Supposedly, China has this very robust education in comparison to America. I mean, it's basically shit here, in comparison. From what I hear, don't your students go to school like 6 days out of the week or something like that? I mean, that's pale in comparison to what they put students in America through. And I think it would attribute to their overall IQ. And, like George Carlin said, eventually you're just you want to join the university, all you need is a fucking pencil. Get in there. It's physics, and that was his comment on, how all other countries, they have all these PhDs coming from other countries, and our country is like the least shining in this regard. Well, what do you have to say about that?
Can I add something to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think there is something to say educational system in the U.S. Like the lower educational system, K through 12, fine, it is what it is, and we can debate that, but that's not as interesting or life changing as the higher educational system, right? And the question you have to ask ourselves is, America could change that very, very quickly. They could provide a variety of mechanisms to give a higher quality education at the higher levels to more Americans.
Sure, but we spend our money on war.
Well, let's not. Yeah, I don't want to go. I don't want to get into the funding debate that we spend more on war and not on education, right? Because going down that route is going to be irrelevant. The point is, the bigger question is, why does America, when it comes down to Congress?
That's not the question. My rebuttal is the same as previously, right? This education, low, whatever, is problematic. If you agree, sure. But all other Americans are also in the same situation. Why is the African American community bearing the brunt of that? Right? So I think what you should be asking is, why us? You could complain about everything in America. Yeah, there's a certain amount of systemic racism, but you can't. Almost it's a chicken or egg question. If statistically, this group of people, community, right, has a higher rate of violent crimes being committed, and of course you'll be racially profiled. That's just how it is, right? Because we are creatures, we are human beings. We are.
Well, it's a generational issue, and it's not going to be fixed. It's not going to be fixed with just one part of the stool laid, right? You need to fix a variety of things.
Yeah, but I think what is lacking, tremendously lacking, is the inability to self-reflect. It's always someone else's.
That's generational. That's generational.
Yeah, sure. But to an extent, you got to acknowledge that there is also, there needs to be a more critical, robust internal dialogue, right? And that's where I think the shaming will work. So instead of telling each other that, it's the system, it's slavery.
Yeah, no. I see what you're saying. But I would say to you, replace shaming with leadership. See, people do better with proper leadership.
Yeah, when it's constructive.
Versus now scientifically, right? There is a component of what we call ego pride down that you're talking about, quote unquote shaming, that does result in a desired end state when it comes to the individual's contribution or the individual's desire to want to change, right? These are approaches.
You can only be affected by shaming if you have a narcissistic personality type, or you focus on ego, because of the person that lacks ego, they're unfazed by shaming, and has no effectual persistence whatsoever. And one statistic that I wanted to bring up to China Guy was that a lot of the black families that grow up with single moms, they don't have father figures, and a lot of that's a huge statistic amongst African Americans. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, China Guy.
Yeah, I have. And it has got to do with a lot to do with the liberal side of politics, whereby it's more profitable to actually be a single mom, and that's so of course I think it's a case of the road to hell is paved with good intentions. So yeah, there are a lot of factors involved, but you see, although this conversation started with such animosity, right? So, and we actually talk about the core issue, and not be not to be afraid of offending anyone's feelings or whatever. You can actually start to talk about the crux of the problem, acknowledge your problem. Okay, if you can we fix it? If not, move on. What are the other things we can do? I think what's happening is that this inability to even want to approach the topic, right? And that's because of white guilt too, if you ask me. that is, and this discourse will never get anywhere because you never actually address the crux of the issue. And and we should just be more honest in dialogues, and just disregard, what we feel, may or may not offend certain sensibilities. That's certainly, not talking about the elephant in the room. It's not a solution. It's the thing further away from a solution.
Man, well, hold on. I think you use that word a little bit too much, man. White guilt. Like a lot of the white families in America are actually, going down in population because they can't reproduce enough to replace themselves. Just like the UK, the families only produce one child at a time. The population is decreasing by 50%. Or they predict over 40 years it will drop by half. So I think white people are becoming a minority in the around the world, man. And so
They still hold all the levers of power. I mean, like what you're saying about, in fact, incentivizing, black women to become single mothers because they actually make more, from welfare. Yeah. Who do you think, makes those and institute and implement those policies? White men. Well, really
yeah,
sometimes.
sure, but
They still hold the levers of power, right? And that's what I'm talking about.
okay, so you're talking about a minority of white people who hold power, and so yeah, I can agree with that. But by population wise, they certainly don't hold the majority. So I mean, if that's what you mean by white guilt, then I can agree with that.
But have we?
Well, they have got to have the consent of the more or less, young people as well, right? Sorry, John. I'll just be quick with this. And now I lost my train of thought. Go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say back to the title of the room. Does shaming work? Have we answered that question? And I like sidetracking and having fun on this app. And anyways, I think shaming works in the sense that I go from room to room prank calling people, and I believe that I shame a lot of people and their stupidity on this app and what they're really doing here and what they're talking about. And if you were to go to, right now, I can cross stream another room and we could listen in to an African American room. If China Guy will allow me just a couple minutes, I will live stream and demonstrate shaming a room, but I will also demonstrate what people are actually talking about in African American rooms. And I think that everyone here will agree that it is so trivial and pointless and stupid, it can be called nothing but entertainment. And if you think that's low IQ, I think you have to really reevaluate your understanding of a human brain and know that if I were to live stream these rooms, the fact that these brains are working and creating these noises, it's a lot of audio engineering and performative stuff. And it's not really indicative of who they are or what they do in the real world or whether there is such a thing as white guilt. And so I would just say that we are playing a linguistic audio engineering game of one-upmanship. And I think IQ equals EQ. I think the smarter you are, the greater emotionally intelligent you are. The greater the emotionally intelligent you are, the generally the smarter you are because your education is very high, not just in a particular career path, but in psychological understandings about identity, self, confidence, all those issues. So,
Yeah. To add to John's statement, I would caveat the IQ equals EQ with the EQ being equal to the IQ in the sense of capacity, but EQ requires application and a lot of it, whereas IQ could be mimicked by memorization or passing tests or things that are done in this kind of like isolative component, right? Whereas the capacity of having EQ can be grand, but the application and the exercising, because it requires a lot of iteration, right? It requires a lot of embarrassment, a lot of failures, a lot of growth.
Yeah, and I'll add to what Marvin said. Just listening to y'all, the more you get worked up, I'm pretty sure you've been to a clubhouse chat where people are getting, their emotions riled up, and they're lashing out, they're cursing, and so on and so forth. I think that demonstrates what you were calling low EQ. I think the people who have the higher EQ are the ones that are more patient, the ones that can, wait till that subsides and then have their say. And just to give you a simple example of, the shaming thing, I think the shaming thing only works in regards to how much you identify with ego. And yeah, like I was saying earlier, with, an extreme example would be like a narcissistic type. And to the degree you identify with ego, then you're going to be offended by that. You might use it, it might be effective to your change and so forth. Like, telling someone like, oh, I'm going to work out tomorrow. Like, oh, no, you're never going to work out. No, why don't you do nothing? You're never going to do anything. Like that kind of stuff can get to someone and actually be the fuel, the fire that causes their change. And for those type of people, I think it works. But for the people that don't have much identification with ego, I think it's ineffectual. I think they're unfazed by that. They may be the minority that, maybe it's effective in the sense that most people have, a huge ego on between their ears, but so yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I don't know. Just listening to y'all speak, it's I would have to think about it a little bit more, man. I don't know. Anyone go up next, man? I'm done.
So I think what John was saying earlier, and I can totally relate to that because I think naturally I've got low EQ, but I think what he says is not equals, but IQ can overcome what is perceived to be lacking of EQ. By the way, like I said earlier, and I still mean it, saying, I think EQ is just made up for, low IQ to people to feel better about themselves. Because with IQ, social cues and all that can be learned, and it comes naturally, to naturally high IQ people. And I guess that's what it is meant when you say high EQ.
Yeah.
But it's something that can be measured, right? There is no test. But the thing is that if you're going to ask, in this situation, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do C, E, whatever, right? But those things, the correct answer in terms of how to interact socially with other entities, those can be learned. Those are skills that can be learned. So IQ can overcome the lack of EQ for sure. And I think that's what he meant. But yeah, go ahead, Marvin.
Yeah, no, I completely disagree. I think that
this is false without empathy. There's no logic to what you just said.
Can I just finish my statement? Right. I appreciate that. Sorry for interrupting you while I was speaking. So I think that like you said, there is no test, and that quantifying of a truth doesn't necessarily mean that it doesn't exist. And so I think that what happens, and we see this a lot in social dynamics where people may find themselves feeling lonely and they don't know why, right? That's a good example. They don't have the wherewithal or the experience to go out and build rapport with new people, or they may have fear, or they may have a condition, right? Those characteristics, and I will use those examples.
Abra, is your phone arrived?
Metric in the sense that I think you're referring to.
Huh? Okay, so if you want to register, it's $15 to just do the lowest monthly plan, and then don't click on the option to do subscription renewal. And so after 30 days, it'll expire, but it's only $15. Just pay the $15, and then create a Gmail, create a Clubhouse, create an Instagram, create a YouTube, create a Snapchat, create a TikTok, a Tumblr. Because all these things require a telephone number, so it'll take you like probably a couple weeks to like build your phone out as if it's like a startup burner phone.
Okay.
But have fun, and I would just live stream yourself, and I would just do what I do. I'll give you access to what I do, but I would say just film yourself and make a podcast out of Clown House and bootleg it in the way that I do it.
Okay. So it doesn't matter that I'm off of my own personal Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you can be on you can after you connect it to your Wi-Fi and turn and register the the phone and you got to create the track phone whatever $15 thing.
And then get off the Wi-Fi?
After yeah, just connect it to the Wi-Fi because your data plan is gonna go. It's gonna end within like a few minutes. You only get like 250 megabytes or some shit, so you have to run it on Wi-Fi.
What is the point though of needing the burner if you're still connected like to your Wi-Fi?
It's the
Like you're
it's the telephone number. You get a telephone number for 30 days.
So the number is what needs to stay separate from like my personal name or whatever.
Just create a brand. Call it Cali Podcast or
No,
USA
I get that,
Podcast.
but I want to know what is the need for the burner number if I'm still like if you could still track me through my Wi-Fi.
Oh, don't worry about tracking. You're trying to create content.
I know, but I'm asking you, why would one need to do that on a burner instead of just doing it like through my regular device?
I really can't answer that question because all questions are totally irrelevant. So once you figure that out, you'll realize that asking questions is the problem, and you'll move along much faster.
Okay.
It's true. It's true. I there's like no, you could ask me a gazillion more questions. All I can do is say I'm trying to clone what I do, with you.
Okay, I got it. Do you have to buy a new phone or get a new phone number after the 30 days, or can I just pay another 15 and keep that going?
No, don't keep it going. You don't need to anymore. There's no need to have the telephone number.
Oh, I got it. Okay. So it's like I don't ever need to worry about that telephone number again because all my shit will already be set up.
Yeah, exactly. It's totally irrelevant because now you just use the phone on Wi-Fi.
Gotcha. What about a Google Voice number? Can't you just do like
Yeah,
that?
you can go to Google Voice on your phone now and create a Google Voice number on top of it.
Right. Because I have multiple accounts via the Google Voice.
The thing is, though, what are you going to use the Google Voice number for? It doesn't work for creating new accounts. So this burner,
Yeah, it does.
not from my experience.
No, it works from creating. That's how I have all my burners.
Oh, I see. Okay, well then it works. But anyways, well, now you got a new phone to create a new podcast. You can create multiple Instagrams. I would register a corresponding domain name. I would call it like Avra Talks or call it something generic, but create a brand, create a logo. You can just Google logos. I mean, no need to spend money on anything.
AI. It's easy. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, right now I am looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Right.
I'm looking at 17 phones right now filming me. I'm in a room called Does Shaming Work? Why don't you come and get your phone set up and shoot your first podcast today of you talking with people for an hour on Clown House?
Okay, but so you think I really need to record myself?
Yeah, I would encourage you to do it. I would encourage you to make yourself the portraiture, in the same way that I do it, because it's private. No one can see it unless you give them access to it, and it's basically creating a public speaking record for you to go back and realize, like, I am an idiot, and my public speaking sucks, and like, what am I actually doing with my time? Like, start documenting your time on this app and you'll be more aware of the hypnotic effect of how retarded you are.
Okay, thank you for my daily reminder of retardedness.
I'm retarded too, but just understand, everything I say which is nasty to you is basically a reflection of my own shadow.
Yes, I was aware of that. All right, that sounds good. I will get to work then.
Yeah, just start projecting more and more and more, and try to gaslight people and capture the gaslight, and you are gonna have so much fun in this app. This is like the app rediscovered for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so thankful.
You won the lottery. Congratulations.
Okay, I'll let you get back to business.
Okay, time is limited. Time is money.
Okay.
Money is time. Let's make that Netflix buku bucks, baby. Woo! Let's go!
Okay, bye.
from the exhibition of it. So I mean, you could be aware of what is happening or the social situation or emotional situation, but choose not to be empathetic. So I don't think the attributes are actually a requirement of being someone who is emotionally intelligent. I mean, I think to what Pat was saying earlier, if you have the awareness, I mean, how you choose to respond is actually dependent on the individual. So you could be highly emotionally intelligent and not empathetic, like China guy was saying earlier. So a lot of sociopaths, I mean, what makes them sociopath is not that they're not aware, is that they are aware and choose to act in a toxic manner.
No, I agree with that. I wasn't trying to imply otherwise. I guess maybe a more simple way to put that is, if you just reside in the ego and you don't consider anyone else's, regard, feelings, place of being, consciousness whatsoever, then that would be, the ultimate narcissist right there. And
Yeah, but Deacon, let me ask you this: can you show me a narcissist or an ego? Can you prove it? It's a concept in the mind's eye, so they don't really exist in the real world. I mean, I hate to tell you, but people love talking about egos or narcissism or even white guilt, and these things are all concepts, and they're, in my opinion, it's just political rhetoric.
So I mean, even if they are just concepts, aren't they describing
your subjective sense
traits
as
or
well.
attributes that people that actually can define people? So I mean, you could say, okay, who is truly a narcissist? And I mean, it's a matter of perspective. But I mean, there are obviously people who can we can point to or who display characteristics that have been associated with narcissism. And you could actually make arguments to why those characteristics or attributes are actually negative or socially maladaptive. So, I mean, what is the point of saying it's not real if it's actually something that we experience and interact with and can define people by?
Yeah, I think to say it's not real is just like a
Oh, I
thing,
just
like the Buddha said, the ego is an illusion, but nevertheless, it's an illusion that we all bear, and as long as you cling to it, if you only know what's within the ego, then you only know like why I grew up here, I was born here, I grew up on this planet, I only know what I can see, and I can feel, I can touch, I only accept what science tells me. You can never transcend it, and if you reside in it, and to the point where you don't consider the other, whatever the other may be, maybe your pet, your relative, other people, then that's when it becomes sociopathic. Because you're only out for yourself. I'm only going to do anything that gains to my own, material body and so on and so forth. But there is a philosophical sense where it could be seen as an illusion, as the Buddha said. But I mean, I think I think we're kind of conflating that by just saying, saying it outright, like, oh, that's not really real. There is there is some kind of substance to it. Maybe not some literal substance, but there is something to speak there. And otherwise, what the hell is the point of Freud and Jung?
So let me pose a question. I mean, do you think there are any benefits to emotional intelligence?
Oh, definitely, without a doubt.
It probably, like, this is probably why America is very divided, and Ian Bremmer talks about this. It's like a narcissistic society, in a way. It caters to a narcissistic personality type. And intelligent people, like, there was a paper with AI a while ago that intelligent beings are always going to maximize their reward no matter what. So it's interesting. There are times when people are developing in society where they have a choice to behave for others or behave for oneself. And a lot of times people choose to behave for oneself because of the rat race.
We
So
are now
it
live
actually,
on Chicago Boat.
as a society, is kind of somewhat motivated towards working for oneself instead of for others, and what also leads towards the great divide between the Republicans and the Democrats and the
Yeah, I mean,
culture
I don't even,
wars.
yeah, I don't even know if it's a dichotomy sometimes. I mean, the interesting thing is, I mean, let me just finish this thought. I was
Yeah,
saying,
go ahead.
the interesting thing is that, I mean, a lot of people say I'm too nice, and there was actually a valid strategy that got me to this point. Because I mean, if you're not emotionally intelligent or not aware of the things that you do and the way that we interact with other people, I mean, there are no repercussions. But if you are, I mean, I've said things that made people want to kill themselves, and bearing that responsibility is huge. So I think a lot of the things that we think we're doing for ourselves or doing for others is actually for ourselves.
Well, Ryan, you said there is no dichotomy. I would disagree. You know, when they talk about in Christianity, for instance, the original sin, I would say that's replace that with the original division. If so, the Christian mystics, when they see, you know, the Holy Spirit, they see a unity. They see a harmony between all people and things. And if you lack that harmony, then you see yourself as an entity separate from the rest of the world. And that division, that original division, permits all sin. You could rape from the other. You could steal from the other. You could get a leg up. And you know, it's the root of all sin that we you know, pour onto our fellow humanity. And you know, I would say that is the original division. That's the original dichotomy. And that's the most simple way that, you know, someone could put it. You know, I've never heard it, you know, more simplified than that.
And a short, simple version too. I mean, it doesn't capture all the nuances. It's hurt people, hurt people.
Yeah, well, you see, but if you see yourself as everything, you know, then you like do unto yourself others as you would do unto yourself. You wouldn't hurt anyone because you see them essentially as yourself. And you know that is the whole message of the golden rule of, you know, all the world's major religions. And you know, that's definitely how I've come to see it. In studying, I studied comparative religion myself. I studied philosophy. These are some of my favorite topics. I wouldn't join this conversation if, you know, if you weren't discussing these type of topics. But I will say that original division is key to, you know, what separates someone from acting righteously compared to someone who's acting in sin. Because if you see someone as separate from yourself, then that means that gives way to all sin. That, you know, any evil thought you could.
What's your concept of sin?
Well, if you see yourself separate, then doing evil. So you're stealing from someone, raping someone, murdering someone, so on and so forth. That would account. That would be sin in my eyes, in my understanding.
Well, its definition is actually actions that are forbidden by God. You know, sin is an Abrahamic concept. Sin does not exist in Eastern religions or other religions outside of Abrahamic faith.
Sure.
Yeah,
But even
so actually what you're talking about regards to sin, it's more, you know, it strays away from the, you know, conventional understanding of.
Well, I mean, it's not exclusive. You know, I say the word sin, but you could invoke ahimsa in Hinduism, or, you know, the Tao in Taoism. You know, the Tao is all flowing. It's everywhere. You know, it's not just you. It's, you know, it's not exclusive to one thing or that. It's you know, it's essentially all things. It's you know, it's the same message coming out of a different religion, but you know, I think it's been echoed time and time again over centuries and epochs of history. You know, it's just that we live in different cultures, we speak different languages, therefore it's mentioned. You know, therefore it's expressed in Pali or Sanskrit in comparison to Aramaic, or at least that's the way I've come to see it.
Yeah, I mean, my concept of sin is actually a little bit different. It's actually more religious. I mean, it comes, the term sin actually came, it's an archery term, right? Of missing the mark. So, I mean, for me, it's really a matter of what do you consider the general objective is. So, I mean, if the objective is, to
Ryan,
create harmony and interaction with people and self-actualization, then you can create a framework for that.
Ryan, can I
Concept of sin is
Ryan, can I interrupt your amazing explanation of sin? Ryan, can I tell you, can I ask you, are there different types of intelligences, or is there only one type of intelligence?
I think according to the classification we've been using earlier, I mean, uh, if you think of intelligence as a level of proficiency relative to other people, then there's definitely some aspects which you could be in people to be more intelligent. So, I mean, for example, you could be better at calculations, formulas, logic, etc. And that's definitely one aspect of intelligence. But I mean, my intelligence could be different. It could be physical manipulation. It could be emotional. It could be social. So I think those things could be described as intelligence as well.
But wouldn't that be different degrees of the same intelligence? That some people lack in some areas, and some people excel in some areas.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean, the classification is only for distinction. So, I mean, if you say someone is intelligent, I mean, I want to understand in what area you're referring to. So, I mean, if I said, for example, Ben Carson is intelligent, I mean, of course, we understand that he has academics and professional.
You really think Ben Carson isn't intelligent? That's really your opinion?
He has one type of intelligence.
Wow. See, Ryan, you have a bigoted bias against a black man who can perform brain surgery and actually calls out the levers of power as being incompetent clowns. See, Ryan, you are technically a member of the clown world. And actually, China Guy, if I can interrupt this Ben Carson hating moron, because that's what he is. If you hate Ben Carson, you ain't black. If you hate Ben Carson, you a dumb nigga in my book, and I ain't even a nigga. But I would like to play a little song for you and all my other niggas. Here we go. It's called I Am a Nigga in Clown World.
Lacking of emotional intelligence.
So, John, what did I say that suggested?
No. Don't encourage him, bro. Don't encourage him. Okay. I think intelligence there's only one type, right? The ability to understand reason, carry a line of logic, and then have knowledge. Knowledge, by the way, is not part of IQ test. It doesn't test how much you know. It tests how you can carry that knowledge through, right? If you have knowledge and the ability to apply that knowledge, well, in these days, especially for commercial purposes, that makes you rich. Okay, that's intelligence. And this is only one type. Like I say, those other stuff, can be overcome with intelligence. Like EQ can be overcome. I mean, these are just skills that you can read from a book. This is what you should do. But it takes a lot of very high intelligent people to actually master. If naturally you're just socially awkward, to master and overcome that, right? You take tremendous amount of IQ to do that. But
so I disagree with you.
On average, people are just average, right? Often they are of average intelligence, both IQ and EQ, and therefore it doesn't work for most people. But that's it. I mean, this is the world. Some people are both. Anyway, so I'm saying that intelligence is the ability to apply knowledge first of all and interpret reasoning logic in a logical fashion. That's intelligence. Anything other than that is made to feel low IQ.
I mean, I think the semantic differentiation here is important because I mean the only reason we're even describing this thing is for the purpose of classification. So I mean, I don't know if you've been around actuaries. I have. I mean, I work with a lot of actuaries, and these people, I mean, are highly intelligent when it comes to calculations. But in terms of interacting with them or in social situations, they're idiots. I mean, I had one guy who was an actuary, and I mean, this is a funny story. I mean, the company I was working at, I mean, every day at 5 o'clock, they will, he would stand in the lobby, and then a bus would come in New York, and the bus would come, and he would run to the bus. And it's like one day I asked him, I was like, John, let's say his name is John. I was like, John, why is it that you run to the bus at 5 o'clock every day? I mean, why not wait at the bus stop? He's like, oh, because it's cold outside. I was like, so why don't you buy a coat? He's like, coats are expensive. Now, this is a guy making easily $200,000 a year and lives in New York and made a decision that it's not worth buying a coat. And I mean, I can give you thousands. I've actually dated actors. I can give you thousands of stories.
You do understand that, whatever stories you tell us, it's anecdotal evidence. And, and bear in mind, that guy might not even actually tell you his true motivation. Maybe he's just not worth it. And because you're just having a, rather casual, acquaintance, like, maybe he doesn't consider you a friend. It's like, why should I tell you, why I do what I do, right? You must have the IQ enough to consider that it could be a possibility. He might have other motivations.
Yeah, what is your point with this fascinating little tidbit, Ryan? I'm so interested to find out what the point is of this memory recitation of this retard without a jacket while you're wasting our time because time is limited. Thank you very little, Ryan. We'll call you. Don't call us. We appreciate you applying. Thanks for applying, bravo. God bless you and the earth made flat, my nigga.
Yeah. So you just call it. I mean, if saying nigga makes you feel better about yourself, fine. I mean, I'm not the type.
It doesn't, brother. I'm just trying to prove the point. I'm not using the hard ER, brother. I'm using the AH, brother. I'm just trying to point out that you low EQ because I'm gaslighting you and I'm proving my own point, my nigga. I'll talk over you too. We'll just keep banging it out, my nigga. I'm proving my point, my nigga. I'm shaming you, my nigga. I'm shaming you, my nigga. I'm shaming you, my nigga.
Squizzle, you're a hypocrite, by the way. You and I used to be friends. I opened my mouth yesterday. We're not friends. You're just a fucking hypocrite.
What did I do to you? Stop.
Oh, okay.
You're just a fucking hypocrite, Squizzle.
What did I do that made me a hypocrite, Kyle?
Oh, I said one thing yesterday, and now we're not friends. And you come in here and you talk about being a fucking snowflake.
What are you talking
No. What did he say? What did you say? What did you say?
about? Kyle, what did I say, brother?
No, I said something in your room yesterday, and all of a sudden we're not friends anymore. So who actually behaved like a snowflake?
Wait, why are we friends? I'm so confused. Like, what are you getting at? What did you
Well,
say?
it's just interesting. I don't know. Something changed because I hit on your icon here, and we're not mutual friends, but we were yesterday. So someone behaved like an actual snowflake and unfriended somebody, and it
I
wasn't
didn't
me.
unfriend you. Were you the one that blocked me? Because I was talking to the atheists.
No, I never would. No, I was supporting you. That's why.
All you simply have to do is to simply ask, because sometimes Clubhouse does like delete people. All you simply can do is to simply ask, hey, did you want to add me? And then I can add you back. Like, it's not that serious, bro.
Okay, well then, I just wanted to clarify because
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
you're one of the
I think
few
you
people. You're one of the few people who actually talk about the religion in an authentic way on this app, and I just wanted to say thank you. Keep giving John the gears for what you were giving John the gears for.
Did you just interrupt John's racist rant so you could ask Squizzle why he unfriended you?
A racist rant, my nigga. It ain't racist to call you a low IQ individual. I'm simply trying to prove that I can gaslight your ass by using the soft AH, and I ain't even going the hard ER, my brother.
You are pathetic. You are
Yeah,
pathetic human being.
Ryan, I have a question for you. I wanted some clarification. You said you were saying autism. Are you trying to say autism?
I did not say autism.
Okay, I thought you were mentioning autism
So,
because
let me just go back to the point I was making earlier before John rudely interrupted. So John referred to the guy as a retard. Now this guy who is someone who professionally has attained a level of distinction within his field that people like John would never.
This dumb nigga done even got the common sense to buy a jacket, my nigga.
I can tell by John's diction that he works a low-paying job with a wife that's probably fucking someone else. But that's not.
My nigga, don't ad hominem me, my nigga.
So, John referred to him as a retard because of that small decision process.
My nigga, China guy was making fun of you because he's saying you don't even have the common sense to know that he was trolling you, my nigga.
So what I'm saying, Deacon, is that, I mean, obviously this guy is intelligent. So when you say there's only one intelligence, it doesn't, I mean, you can say that, but it's not useful because we obviously know there's different areas of proficiency that people have, and they could be deemed as highly intelligent in one area and a total retard in the other.
Sure, but I was trying to look for clarification on it sounded like you were saying autism. I thought you were saying.
I did not say autism.
Okay, maybe I misheard, but I
Yeah, I mean, no, I did not say anything about autism.
Okay. So you're saying.
Are you both projecting your own autism on each other? It's like two homeless people begging for money on the street for each other, and they both fucking homeless, my niggas.
John, what you ought to do is shut the fuck up.
No, what you ought to do is shut the fuck up. You projecting your own ignorance upon the earth, my nigga. It ain't flat.
I'll be quick. I thought you were mentioning.
You might behave one way.
Yeah, I thought you were. Yeah,
Listen, my niggas, I came here to have fun and speak my mind. If you don't like what I got to say, well, you ain't the mod. China guy can kick this nigga out anytime that nigga want to kick this nigga out, okay?
John, I'm sorry for what's happening in your life. This is how you.
Thank you very little, my nigga.
I mean, get a hobby, dude.
Okay, you are again projecting, my nigga. Get yourself a hobby, my nigga.
Hold on. Let Deacon get his word out.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say. I thought he was saying that he was on the spectrum of some sort. This person he was talking about. I just wanted to quickly mention Florence and Catherine. Flo and Kay is how they're famously known, and they can recall to the T every single meal that they had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all the way till they were 3 years old. This miraculous form of memory. Yet, when they socialize, they're what John might call retard. But they lack huge.
My nigga, I didn't call nobody retarded. I'm calling Ryan and you both semi-retarded niggas.
Okay.
So you know what? This is funny because like China guy, you and I disagree several times, but I don't hear you talk to people like this. That's why I actually come hang out with you. I think.
Oh, you mean China guy's a racist, but he doesn't actually insult people in a racist way because he's incapable of it. So thus, China guy is less racist than me, even though I'm doing a performative bit here, and you losers failed to see the fact that I'm intentionally prank calling you.
Okay, this is I think where EQ comes in. There's a time and place for everything, including trolling, which is what I think you're doing. But in moderation, in small doses. So this is not.
Listen, I'm just trying to make the point that I'm intentionally gaslighting, and the whole thing does have to do with EQ, which is IQ, and you idiots don't even realize I'm just doing a performative bit to be a fucking cocksucker.
I realized that a long time ago.
The only person you're gaslighting is yourself.
No, I don't think, Kyle, they understand. I really wanted to emphasize the point that shaming people does work.
This is all for you. This is all for you.
Listen, if you just continue to talk while people are talking, you are proving my point. I'm trying to play the role of the monkey mind moron, aka the low IQ black person that China guy is trying to describe.
That was earlier. Now I think we established that we actually could come to consensus on certain issues, right? But actually what initially ticked me off, okay, the guys don't care anymore, Marvin. It was that I know you guys saw what happened. You guys were here. You know what I'm talking about. And I find that especially true with Black Americans. It's like, foreigner. Oh, these are not Americans. Like, you're American, and therefore they by default assume that somehow we are lesser. I mean, what I gave to him was actually a simple, not a straightforward answer, obviously, and of course it went past his head. And I think maybe he was biased. Like, what does this foreigner knows about what he's talking about? I don't know. I mean, I thought it was pretty clear. Personally, the average IQ 100 could probably understood what I said, but instead of understanding that he doesn't understand what I said, because it went over his head, he assumed that I didn't know what I was talking about and didn't give
So
an answer.
that's not what happened, China guy. I mean, that's what you think happened. I mean,
I agree with Ryan.
why can't I talk? No, I was saying, this is what you did. No, I'm saying, you asked him, he asked you the question as to whether America is actually a threat, and you said only Americans ask that question, which obviously is implicit that it's the perspective of Americans, but it's not the perspective of the rest of the world. Therefore,
okay,
therefore, the reason why he's asking that question is because he's an American. That's one interpretation. The other interpretation is Americans have that lack of awareness.
No, that was the only part. No, that was it. You missed it. You missed it.
Listen. No, there's I mean.
So the question was, what's the question again?
Yeah, he was asking.
You're gonna tell me that I misunderstood it. You don't even remember the question.
The question was about
origin. It was about the origin.
Which country
perceive America as a threat, right? That
was not the question.
What was the question? Remind me.
The question was,
I was trying to
really a threat.
That's both. Those are both irrelevant. He was asking you what was the origin of your so-called racism.
That was not the first question.
That wasn't what triggered me. I would just ignore it. Like I said, I wouldn't dignify it. Realize the question was
China guy.
Right, hold on. He asked me which country actually perceives America as a threat, right? And then, or something, I'm paraphrasing as best as I can.
That's not what it was.
And then I said, only American would ask that question. So what I'm implying is every country, because America, I explain later why I think that, right? Because America is a global power and nothing can happen without Americans' consent. Therefore, every country views America as a threat one way or the other, even their allies. Ask Germany and they're not stream. So that's what I imply. And he didn't get that, right? He just answered the question. So my answer was like every country, right? What my answer implied that every country, if you're not American, you wouldn't realize that every country views America as a threat because America views itself as the world's hegemon.
So China guy, you thwarted the question, but it's fine because you still came back to the original distinction. Was that you assumed that he didn't understand?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
No, China guy, bear with me a second. I know Marvin. I don't know if you know who Marvin is, but I've listened. You remember that room that was going on Ukraine, and Russia, that with Piotr that was on for like 2 months. Marvin was one of the main speakers in that room, and he's highly intelligent, highly proficient, highly.
Really? Are you sure he's high IQ? Are you qualified to diagnose a man's IQ, Ryan? Excuse me, Ryan. I gotta tell you, you are low IQ, and so is Marvin. That's the truth of the earth, my nigga. Sorry.
Being not knowledgeable about certain topics doesn't make him high IQ.
I'm saying China guy. So I'm not saying it does.
He said he repeated numerous times that I did not answer the question. Actually, my answer was given, implicitly that every country, that is not America would view America as a threat because America is a global hegemon. And that was
China guy. I'm black. As I said.
Here we go, pulling the black card. You ain't black, brother. You a fucking nigga, and you an African. You political dumb motherfucker, you.
I know my intelligence intimidates you, but just stay on mute for a few seconds. It's fine.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm getting intimidated by your intelligence. That's correct. That's the truth of the earth, my nigga.
What he was trying to do was for you to parse out your statements. I mean, he understood the insinuation, but he didn't want to accept that. He wanted.
This is the dumbest shit I've done ever heard, Ryan.
He literally told me, you answer the question, and he repeated that.
Exactly.
Insisted, asking the question where I already did like twice, right? And he insisted that I answered the question, which I did. He just wasn't aware, he just went whoosh with them.
So, like I said,
I'll be a mediator. I think Marvin did not understand, like China Guy said, but he didn't have any contention once he got the point. He just moved on. He didn't try to make it a big
Yeah, he
point.
only had to repeat himself 5 to 10 times about when did you come to this conclusion. Like, he's retarded. He's low IQ, and so is Ryan.
It did take a few times, but eventually he did concede, and he had no quarrel with conceding. I will say that.
Until I had to,
well,
until I
obviously my level of
stated, right, which defeats the point of the whole it defeats the point of sarcasm.
Yeah.
But by the way, understanding, getting sarcasm is also a form of intelligence. Just saying.
Well, I was going to tell you guys what I think it was, but I mean, nobody wants to hear, so it was nice chatting. Well, it wasn't nice, but I mean, probably this will be the last time I interact with you folks.
Ooh, Ryan, do you think you're gonna ruin my day by telling me you didn't enjoy the conversation? Hate to tell you. Oh, there he left. Sorry, guys.
Interesting. Nice. I don't want nice. What the fuck is like nice? Like me laying in bed, and then like touching myself is nice. I like interesting, right? I like interesting.
Listen, people. Listen, I don't know. People just want to talk. That's the thing. People want that dopamine feedback loop. I believe that this is like a drug medical device thing, and people want to be heard. It's about their own depression, and they use this app as a dopamine feedback loop, or essentially artificial fucking dopamine.
Could be.
Yeah, I must say a lot of people really like the sound of their own voice on Clubhouse, but those days were gone. Like those people, that tank their speakers and all that, like unmute and then go on for like 10 minutes. I mean, we're not there anymore. We left that, that's behind us. That's Clubhouse history.
Bro, I can live stream on my other Clown House account right now what rooms are saying, and it is fucking bang room like you can't believe.
What do you mean by bang room?
It's just people talking over each other and screaming at each other.
Then what would you? I'm curious, John, too. What would be an actual productive conversation in a room that's not entailed with people talking over each other?
Well, I would view this app, if you were to use it efficiently, you would conduct it just like a classroom, in an educational setting or a boardroom meeting. That would be the most efficient way to use this information for high value information exchange.
Definitely agree. That's usually the way I try to approach it, but I nevertheless run into what you're talking about with, this ad nauseum hoopla that people engage in.
No, that's boring. Dude, that's boring. You don't understand people. People like variety, I think, right? So a little bit of everything. I mean, basically like a Bollywood movie. Think of Bollywood movies. A bit of musical, a bit of like rolling, on the slope, a little hugging and dancing.
I mean, with like a hint of trolling.
No, I agree, but what I'm saying is like if one of the speakers was providing, a really great opera clip, I'm saying like it wouldn't just be speaking, people would be able to provide clips or, audio of high value information that they enjoy, whether it's music or history or anything. But if it's high value, it's high value.
My dad always says, good things no cheap, cheap things no good. Like seriously, nobody does this for free, and then it's like providing some mind-blowing, like new insights about anything, except when I do it. sometimes.
Well,
Drop jewels, but
I created a YouTube clip out of Clown House one time. I filmed my phone, and somebody was making the statement that like I can't believe people are willing to die on a hill on Clown House for one insignificant little tidbit of nothing. It's like, yeah, that's true. People on this app can't let it go.
anyway, I think we're all here to kill time. Like, to be perfectly honest, if I can get something out of it, a new way of looking, new perspective of looking things, then nice. If I can't, then a bit of trolling, a bit of drama, a bit of arguing, a bit of insults, ad hominems, a bit of good debating, good logic back and forth. I appreciate all of that, and yeah, but that's just me.
Yeah, I think if you're able to tolerate John's, display or acting, whatever you wanted to call it, John, then I think that sort of adheres to what you just said.
Well, China guy,
John's actually pretty.
can't you admit though, China guy, that technically by saying that African Americans in America are low IQ because they were bred for bronze, not for brains, is a gaslighting statement. Would you agree that that is a gaslighting statement?
Actually, I've never understood what gaslighting is. I don't follow American.
Meaning that in polite social debate and conversation, saying that to African Americans or Black people on a social audio app will trigger an emotional response. And as a polite speaker and somebody who doesn't want to gaslight or doesn't want to cause emotional distress for mere low value people or low IQ people, you wouldn't say that, because what you're really doing is flaring your own dopamine feedback loop by saying a contentious statement, whether it's that or 100 other ridiculous statements. To me, if I say I believe that amongst all homosexuals or gay men, they are also all pedophiles, that would gaslight faggots on this app to the furthest degree. But I could show correlation and causation between homosexuals and pedestry.
But that statement would be an untrue statement, right? But what I say is just historically factual.
Yeah, well, my statement is also historically factual about homosexuals and pedophiles.
Well, not all of them. I'm sure there are some of them, right?
Well, that's my point. Is it's a gaslight thing, but it's if you really do believe that or you have data, go ahead.
No. Hold on. You're a person of logic and reasoning, right? Some of them and all of them, there's a big difference, huge difference.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't think that was the point. That let's say it is the case, and he has factual information to back it up by, then it would be gaslighting in the sense that he said that if you're going to approach it with the so-called facts, then you would, you would approach it with less emotional impact on other people in the way that he's described it.
Okay. First of all, thank you for the explanation on gaslighting, and that is not my intention, though. I just say that because that's the easiest, rhetoric for me to get deliver what I'm saying, to get it across, which is historically, factually accurate, right?
I know, but it's like nurturing versus it's nature versus nurture. You're like making a movie. You're making a comedy out of low IQ Black people, and it's gonna piss people off. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's gonna piss everyone off. In fact, I used to talk to this, he's not elderly, but he's like, older than me. It was like in his late 40s or something. And I used to talk all the time. And when I, all sort of stuff, I tell him about Malaysia, I know quite a lot because I lived in the US for a while. And then when it came to this, after I didn't even put it in such a, how should I say, such a frank, delivers a frank manner. I explain, it's like my thought processes and all that. And he basically unfriended me, and they've never spoken to since. And this is a white liberal guy, right? Yeah, it offends all people, it offends all American. And what it is because there's nothing can be done about that, because you can't go back in time and fix history.
Well, see, this is the different. But China guy, my point is there's a concept in Taoism or Buddhism called the Bodhisattva, and it's Bodhi, or really it's teacher. So if you want to be a teacher, what you're really doing is creating controversy and you're not teaching. So it's actually your opportunity cost and it's to your detriment to not teach. I come on here, I teach. I read books of high value information that I find to be wonderful, which is in terms of like transcendental meditation or trying to fill up your own vacuum with the Spirit of God. So, that's why I come on here, and you can shout down political rhetoric by teaching the wisdom of God or the law. If you were to come on here and teach Confucius, do you know your room would probably be 100 times bigger? Because people are hungry for wisdom. So if you do read Confucius here or the ancient teachings of China, you would have a much bigger audience, and you yourself would progress yourself much quicker in terms of your own personal, salvation or freedom or power.
First of all, you have a very high opinion about yourself. I think you have a rather high opinion of me as well. But my agenda is not to push any agenda. I mean, I say it frankly, right? I'm here to kill time and enjoy myself sometimes. And if, like I say, sometimes people drop jewels. I've never thought of it this way before. I'm glad to receive new information. Nice. If I don't, so be it. I don't have. Since
I wouldn't say I think that high of myself or you. I'm just saying I like books. As a speaker, I like books. That's all I'm saying.
So I don't feel that I'm obliged to do anything for anyone other than myself. But by the way, in fact, that is more Buddha, Bodhisattva like. If you come with an agenda that is, you're definitely straying away from the tenets of Taoism.
Well,
Taoism,
you're like a nihilist, though. You're technically an atheist nihilist or agnostic.
Hold on. In Taoism, and you've studied Taoism, you know what I'm talking about. The idea is to go with the flow, go with nature, right? You don't know.
I get it. The conversation, though, should also go with the flow.
Listen. If you want to be my best disciple, you got to listen more and stop interrupting me.
I'm not your disciple. Do you know who Buddha's teacher is?
So, what I'm saying is, in Taoism, the idea is that you don't know what is good, what is evil. Of course, the farmer with the horse and all the story, which I'm not going to get into, right? And as a person, that I'm not a public figure, right? If you say that, okay, I say this shit is so controversial, you hurt a lot of people's feelings, people may kill themselves because of this, or it would cause, mass riots, and then I'm culpable, to that. But I'm not a public figure. I mean, I'm just a guy on the internet. So, why not just say what you feel, what I feel?
I agree with you. China Guy is just saying that, he's just some guy who's using this platform as kind of passe, and if he's controversial, so be it. Whereas John is taking it a little bit more seriously. I think you would have a more interesting conversation with me, John. I'm very interested in religion, and whereas China Guy is not. He mentioned this Chinese farmer, but and Lao Tzu. He mentioned Lao Tzu, but I don't know. I have the feeling that he's never went in really true depth into his own religions of his own country, man.
China Guy, are you from Malaysia?
Yes, I am. Did you detect the accent? And how did you know I was not Singaporean?
Because I live in Malaysia. If you look at my picture, it's from Tian Hao Temple last week during Chinese New Year. I just want to say, apa kabar?
Kabar baik.
Yeah, very good, very good. Some of my friends on here were saying you were disparaging Black Americans or people with dark brown skin color. Is that true?
I was still. You go ahead. You tell me what you think the whole thing was, Deacon. Tell Max.
Yeah, I think he sees the platform as passe, and he's just trying to pass time, and it benefits him in this platform to be controversial, to draw in a crowd, and that's it. He's not trying to be very serious about it or academic in that regard. And it's not as serious as a lot of people might take it when they hear these topics.
Yeah, I don't know. I just know some of my friends, and one thing I say about Malaysia is that Malaysia is as diverse as America. There's many ethnicities, many different cultures here, but you're all united under one nationality. So it's really quite sad to hear what people were saying, what you said.
So what did people say? What I said. What did they say? what was I accused of, basically?
Well, that you were saying that black people had low IQs, etc., etc.
Okay. This is what I say all the time, Clubhouse, right? I say I don't discriminate against people because of their color, their creed, their religion, their culture. I don't do anything like that. I only discriminate against low IQ people. All right, that's my first statement. And the following statement is a bit more controversial. And as it happens, it sounds like you're African American, right? I'm not sure if you're
Actually, yeah, I mean, you can't tell by my voice, but you can probably tell by my picture, yeah.
Are you ADOS, by the way?
I never even heard of ADOS until I came on this app, but I am a black American.
So you're ADOS?
I'm a black American, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm ADOS or if I'm first
generation. Oh, yeah, it does.
First generation or second generation, I'm a black American. My parents are black. I was actually born in Asia at an Air Force base because my dad was in the military. But I've been in America my entire life. My grandmother has her college degree. Back in the day when a lot of people didn't have their college degree. She was born in 1904.
Good for her. So
yeah.
Okay. The other thing I said is, that's a big difference. Obama wasn't ADOS, right? You're ADOS. Obama wasn't ADOS. So the first, so-called Black American that's half black wasn't even ADOS. He has nothing culturally to do with ADOS. In fact, it was brought out by white parents in Hawaii. So there is this thing about in America. Oh man, I'm not going to get into that first. But I come to realize that black people in general that I come across on Clubhouse do have a huge chip on their shoulder. And at first I thought it was just, black Americans because of the slavery history of slavery, etc. But I come to find that Africans from Africa has never actually, gone through their family has never been enslaved, and they come from the same place. They also have a big chip on their shoulder, unfortunately. And I do find to follow up to my previous statement, which is I only discriminate against low IQ people, and often I'm not saying that you're one of them. In fact, I have encountered very intelligent African Americans, right? But a lot of them are low IQ. I mean, come on.
First off, saying a lot.
I would say most of them that I come to interact with, right? You just go to black rooms, and that's exactly what I mean. And you got to admit that it's problematic.
I don't know what rooms you go to, and I would imagine that some of the rooms you go to on this app are entertainment rooms, and they're not political rooms that have mostly black people there. So I would imagine the conversation would be something other than what you're expecting it to be.
I don't specifically go out of my way to search for black rooms. It's just that since there are a lot of black rooms, I mean, disproportionately so, right? Being the population is about 13% in America, but somehow English-speaking rooms is about 30%. Black rooms, and when you follow the old Clubhouse, I mean now because I don't follow any of them, I don't see them anymore, which is good. But I think the African American community in America, and I've seen plenty of, and I've studied in the U.S. by the way. That's why America is not exactly an exotic place to me. And then which goes back to the topic today, this shaming work. I think. And actually, after that, all that hula bala and all that, arguing back and forth with like 3 other black guys. Actually, I don't even know Deacon is black or Deacon, are you black, by the way?
No.
Okay. I thought you could have been. I wasn't sure. So, even if those two other black guys, what's their name? Ryan and what's the other guy's name? Marvin, yeah, Marvin. So even with them, we
Marvin's
actually.
not black. Marvin's not black. He's Hispanic.
Oh, he sounded pretty dumb. So.
No, he's actually quite intelligent, and he's been in military intelligence from what I know of him on the set.
I don't know. Then I apologize for attributing him to, because he rubbed me off like the very first minute by not understanding what I said, which was a sarcastic roundabout way of answering the question, and he insisted that I did not answer his question, and it doesn't come across too bright. Maybe I got him triggered. He was like worked up emotionally. But anyway, Anyway, we actually came to a consensus. We actually have a good conversation. Ask Deegan. He was here, throughout the duration. After all was done, we actually had a good conversation in terms of, not keep up the pretenses, not ignoring, right, historical facts, and it actually was pretty fruitful. He asked me, probably one of the more honest discussion when it comes to racial issues in America, because the thing that affects America also affects the rest of us. I find, to be perfectly honest, Max, this is my first time interacting with you, so you're probably a very nice girl, right? You're in my country, and usually, Asians are pretty reserved. I'm sure you encounter that, and I'm the outlier. So I seem to come across a lot of people in general, Americans especially, and especially worse Black Americans, that they think they are smarter, a lot smarter than they actually are, right? And then they make a point, and it's like, oh my God, I don't.
Where do you get your characterization from? I feel that's quite. Why would you characterize Black Americans that way? And if you really want to do some research, right after desegregation, and during integration, Black American students had outperformed their white counterparts in the 50s and 60s during standardized tests. But there's, there's definitely some issues that have lingered from segregation, from slavery, and also systematic racism that still exists in the U.S. right now. So there's hurdles that my people have to overcome, and we've been overcoming. I don't know. Oh, sorry, one of my alarms is going off. But yeah.
I do empathize. I get it. It's just that, they. I'm sure you've heard of the term white guilt, right? This is from my perspective. You might not agree with that. I'm pretty sure that you don't. And I feel that certain people, maybe Jews, what's happening in Palestine, okay, maybe Jews or blacks, right? They get away with a lot more because of white guilt. The Jews due to the Holocaust, the blacks due to black slavery, right? And we can see that, it's actually real world implications, and it could be pretty destructive, what's happening in Palestine. But not so much for the black community. I have to endure a certain amount of racism of blacks. It's not so bad now, but my first few interactions, on the internet with Black Americans, is that I find that the N-word can never be uttered. The C-word, chink, that is. Sure, it's it can be. So, from the American perspective, and I think it was the white guilt and white people that allowed it to happen, right? Not all racial slurs are equal. And that is because of, their historical precedence of theirs, which has nothing to do with my people, myself. So what I feel is, in fact, you think about it, it's in a way, American supremacy or even white supremacy. So why should the world endure your cultural internet norms while you don't observe, reciprocate the same sex.
Sorry, but before I got distracted with my alarm going off, my point was when barriers are taken off of any community, whether you're Black or Jewish or Chinese, when those barriers are removed, for instance, when Black Americans outperformed their white counterparts on national tests in the 50s and 60s, when barriers are removed from a population, they can achieve anything, right? They can